you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you very much for lending me your time and your ear and listening into another video from me. And this time I will talk about E3 and what I thought of Microsoft and Sony's press conferences briefly. I'm not going to go over everything. Just a few things that I really, really liked and a couple things that I just wasn't really all that impressed with. But I really wanted to cover them anyhow. Firstly, for Microsoft, one of the things I liked is having having the cross-buy, cross-save, and cross-platform gameplay for a lot of the titles that will be quote-unquote exclusive to Xbox One. I said quote-unquote, quote-end quote, exclusive to Xbox One and Windows 10. When it's on more than one platform, it's not exclusive. Unless they wanted to say Microsoft exclusive, then that would make more sense. Because it's the same as saying that Hyrule Warriors is exclusive to the Wii U, which it is not. It is a Nintendo exclusive game because it is on the Wii U and the 3DS. Just pointing that example out. But moving from there, like that to me, I'm actually kind of cool with that because I want to see more cross. I want to see games go cross-platform. I want to see third-party games go cross-platform. If they want to lump all the sales of these games together, they might as well be cross-platform, right? Like you might as well be able to play against whoever has the same game on a different platform, no matter what platform they're playing on. Like you should be able to play against someone else sharing the same game. But that would also mean that these third party developers would have to be responsible for the servers and shit, and some of them don't want to do that. But I think it would be a good idea. Next, next thing, I'm kind of a Platinum fanboy, so I liked what I saw with Scalebound. I'm so looking forward to that game. I want to play that so badly. Like that game is going to fucking. That game is probably going to be a 3 or 4 months of playtime for me just to play that by itself, and I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it. I already know because Platinum made it, and they're fucking damn near, if not the kings of action, they're pretty fucking close to being the kings of action games. Kings and queens because they got a lot of female staffers in their company. Um, also liked Gears 4. Gears 4 was looking really cool. I liked the way the physics kind of worked with where like you saw him use the catapult, and then the guy shot the fucking, I forgot whatever it was that they launched, but the shit broke up into pieces and was falling all over, and that I liked that. That was actually pretty cool. Like honestly, to me, like that's great, and I want to see more of that. Like it's still got the standard feel, like it still looks like it feels like the other Gears of War games, but it definitely looks like they've added a lot to it for it to be able to do physics like that. Because I don't think any of the other ones could it before. Um, I was a little weird on them fucking lifting the catapult the way they did though, but these people are supposed to be, I guess they got superhuman strength, so not much I can really say about that. Recore also looked kind of interesting. I'm only really iffy about it because I don't know who's behind the game. But it looks interesting to me. Like it's probably not the most interesting game, but it does look like it would be pretty fun to play. Um, I'm kind of wondering if it's going to get delayed any. Hopefully only once if it does happen. Why am I yawning? Sorry, I wasn't trying to yawn in you guys' ears. Um, but I'm looking forward to that game. What was it? Sea of Pirates, I think it was. That actually looked pretty cool to me too. Like you don't see very many actual pirate games, so I'm like I could see myself playing that. Let's see what they're doing with it. Um, there was at least one other thing that kind of stood out to me. But I'm trying to remember the name. I'm trying to think of the name of the game, so I'm not like sitting here looking like an idiot. But da, 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 da. Well, Cuphead obviously looked interesting to me. Like I grew up watching Looney Tunes and shit like that, so and old Disney cartoons. So to me, Cuphead is just that's my childhood coming back as a video game. Not really doing anything bad for me. Um, State of Decay 2 actually looked kind of interesting, but I'm not the biggest zombie game person, so well, it looks interesting, but I'll wait to see more of it before I really say anything else about it. Um, Halo Wars 2. My fucking gosh, that trailer had me laughing. The damn trailer. The two field generals just walking down the middle of all the chaos and shit. Oh, I said Sea of Pirates, the Sea of Thieves. I just looked at the title. I was like, oh gosh, I just made myself sound stupid. But the Halo Wars 2 trailer had me rolling. I just couldn't help that. Like, you got the two generals walking down the field, all this chaos and explosions and shit happening. They just walking down the middle at each other while all this shit's blowing up around them. People getting shanked and shot in the fucking face and ass and all that stuff. And they just walking. Like nothing fucking happened. I'm like, oh gosh. And then to see him fucking stroke the fucking missile. I was like, why did they do that? Like, did they really have to do that? Did he have to walk by and stroke the fucking missile? I was like, that's just ridiculous. That they... Oh man, it was definitely something that caught my attention. Like, and I like RTS games, so Halo Wars 2 is definitely something that's piqued my interest a bit. Um, Another game that really caught my attention was We Happy Few. And that's more or less because I saw the woman that kind of had the Harley Quinn look to her. I was like, what the fuck? Why we got this Harley Quinn looking? Like, and it's kind of got like a Bioshock feel to it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm interested in that. So, and like it kind of grossed me out at the same time where they were talking about beating a pinata, but it was an actual, I think it was a dog, and they were eating the innards of the dog after they smashed it, and I was like, oh, it's a little weird, but I play weird games all the time, so it's not gonna kill me. I think that's really it. I mean, I saw that they announced that Slime Rancher was coming to the Xbox One, but I've seen that on PC, so it's not really a big deal to me that that's going to Xbox One. But damn, that was it. I'm not the biggest racing fan, so I don't really have much to say about Forza Horizon 3, unfortunately. So moving on from oh no, I forgot. I gotta talk about the one thing that kind of bothered me with Microsoft. And if anybody's watched the Gamers at Large reaction to Microsoft's E3 conference for this year, because we kind of reacted live to it. And I also have a video about it, so you guys can check out the video, or you can go over to the Gamers at Large channel and hear my reaction to that at the end of it. I'm not thrilled with the idea of Project Scorpio, even though I kind of also am excited about it, but I'm just not really thrilled with it because there's a lot of things I worry about that come from that stem from that device being made. Even though they're saying that it's not going to have any games that are different from the current Xbox One, which that's fine with me if that's the case. But at the same time, all I'm hearing really is that developers are asking for more powerful hardware to run their games, and they're not trying to do any work to actually make sure that their games run well before putting it on the current hardware, which is my issue. But that aside, now I can move on to Sony. Um, the stuff that was interesting to me, Days Gone actually looks pretty interesting. Like weird, oddly enough, the game kind of looks like it looks like it like the Walking Dead TV show to me. Like you would, that's kind of the vibe I get from that game, which is good as far as I'm concerned. It's really that's a good thing. Um, I got like a list I'm going through over here. Spider-Man. I think that's probably going to end up on Xbox One, but it was promoted for PlayStation 4. Like that looks interesting to me, and plus I'm like a Spider-Man fanboy, so like I'm ready to get that game because it's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is my favorite comic hero. Um, Now another thing, I'm just it kind of is kind of interesting, but at the same time, I don't know what the fuck is going on with it. And that's Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima's game for Sony. What the fuck does that name mean? For one, two, why was there a naked man with handprints all over himself holding a baby? And then the baby disappeared, and handprints appeared on the ground, and this motherfucker's still naked, and there's handprints all over the place. What the fuck does any of this mean? That's the only thing I'm interested in about with this game is finding out what the fuck it's supposed to be. After I find out what it's supposed to be, then I'll be able to say whether or not I'm actually interested in it enough to want to play it. But right now, I'm like, what the fuck is it? That's all it is. It's pretty cool for people who've never played the Crash Bandicoot games to be able to get the remasters, and I'm hoping that when they do remaster these games, that they actually do it very well. Because sometimes remasters don't work out all that great. Can't remember what the name of the one that recently was done that came out on PS4 and the Wii U. I cannot remember the name of that game, but I do remember hearing that it's not that great. It's basically just a better looking version of the game, and they didn't really do much with the controls to try to tighten it up. And I hope that Activision actually does do that, even though they weren't the original developers of the Crash Bandicoot franchise. So that's like, I hope that they do something with that, and they do well with it. They do it justice, because I like Crash Bandicoot. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which is a redundant ass name to me, because Biohazard is the name of the series in Japan. So I'm like, what? when they put that name out there, like, what? Hold on, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Like, who thought this? Who at Capcom was thinking here? Like, it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things. I'm like, eh. I mean, I'm kind of wanting Resident Evil to be really good, Resident Evil 7. But it's like they said that they were going to go back to the roots, and they kind of stepped away from their roots at the same time. And I'm like, But I also thought it wasn't a VR playable game when I first looked at it, because I remember saying like this would be a good game for VR, but it's going to be fully VR playable. So that's actually good for that. Like, that's actually pretty good for that, and I want to see what comes of it. I don't really have much faith in Capcom at the moment, but I want to see if this game turns out to be as great as it's looking, and I hope it does turn out to be that good. God of War, which I don't know why the fuck they're doing this with the name God of War. You already have God of War. This is God of War 4. Just name it fucking God of War 4. What's the problem with calling it God of War 4? It's the fourth. It's literally the game after 3. It's 4. And Kratos is an old bearded bastard and shit. Like, you can tell he's lived a miserable fucking life. And it's somebody who has liked the God of War franchise. I'm kind of interested in seeing where they go with this. They've changed from having the fixed camera angles and stuff like that to doing the third person perspective. And I want to see how that changes the gameplay up for this particular franchise because of the way it was originally built. So, like, it can't really be the same thing. But it appears that there's a little boy that addresses Kratos' father. I don't know if that's necessarily his child, or if maybe he's just in an adoptive parent role, or if it actually is his son. Because if anybody remembers the history of God of War, the reason that Kratos' skin is that pale white is because that's the ashes of his wife and daughter, in which he was tricked by Ares to kill his family. And so he was cursed to literally bear the sin of his actions upon his skin all throughout the rest of his life. But I'm kind of interested and want to see what they do with this. And I'm kind of also wondering why they haven't followed like very many of those other storylines. But then again, I haven't really played the PSP games, and I'm going to get that collection on my PS3 and play that. play all those games, so I know I'm definitely up to date on the story. I've only really played the main games, unfortunately. So I want to see what the other games have in store as far as story go. Da, da, da. Not interested in Just Dance whatsoever fucking ever. Uh, steep. That looks interesting, but I'm I'm not really super into like snowboarding and all that type of shit. So I would see about that. Like it looks interesting, but it's not like the biggest thing I've thought about. Oh, was that even Sony? I think I'm looking at the wrong thing. That might not have been Sony. Oops, wasn't meaning to speak about that then. Oh crap! I forgot about Dead Rising 4 for Xbox One for Microsoft's, but you know whatever. It's Dead Rising 4. Like I'm looking forward to it, but whatever. Um, I think it's not really much else. I really I'm trying to find the stuff that Sony had. I'm looking and just can't really find it. Whatever. I'll have to like. Sony had a few other things. Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn was definitely another game that I was like looking at. Like when I first saw it, and I was like, it looks far different to me now than it did before. I'm like, okay, this I can get behind. I'm like, this might actually be one of those games, just like kind of like Scalebound, that'll draw my time. Like especially if I get a PS4, and I plan on getting one, but that will draw my time and have me playing that game for a long while. And like, and it's interesting looking. Like it kind of, oddly enough, that's this at this E3. That's probably the closest game to Zelda besides, well, Zelda. like, like, and it's odd because it kind of has the same type of feel. Like they aesthetically look very different, but it kind of has that same feel to it. Like if you've played enough Zelda games, you'll understand what I mean. Like there's just a feeling that you get when you play Zelda games that you don't really get in other games unless they're made in that type of style. And that's what I kind of look at Horizon Zero Dawn as. I mean, it's not going to be exactly the same as Zelda, and I know that it's probably going to be vastly different as far as like story and everything else goes. But gameplay, it looks like it kind of has that sort of feel to it. Now, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking anything else. Mm, no, I think I'm done as far as that goes. Um, Sony VR. Not a whole lot of stuff. There was actually really not much, not anything that really pulled my attention for Sony VR. I mean, other than knowing now that Resident Evil 7 is going to be on it, but it's not one of those things like I have to get it to play this game and to really experience this game. And that to me, like if that's not like the best experience I can get with that game, then I'm not really worried about it. Like because if it's pretty much going to be the same as the other experiences I can have with the game, and I won't be cut off from the world with those experiences. So but PlayStation VR isn't a big thing for me. Like actually, VR in general isn't a big thing for me. But you guys already know that if you've paid attention to my channel in any respect. Overall, though, I think they both did very well this year. Like the conferences were good, and Sony's did not put me to sleep. Like, I wasn't on the brink of falling asleep watching Sony's conference this year. I was actually kind of excited with the information that they were dropping. And Microsoft's kind of it kept me interested, but I already knew they were going to keep me interested, so I didn't really have much to worry about with them. Sony is the one that was a major improvement to me overall in comparison to how Microsoft's. I would still say for me, Microsoft's conference was better, but Sony's conference wasn't very far off. It was pretty much I pretty much rate them the same, just Microsoft slightly better, and that might just be a preference thing. So that's about it. Um, I'm actually looking forward to some of the RPGs that are coming out on the PS4, but I didn't really catch much of those. I was back and forth. I'm a parent, so I got to deal with my kids and stuff, and I got too lazy to just want to keep backing the damn thing up to watch it all over. But thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more of my stuff. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.